Today, I want to talk about the topic of ascension and what it means, how to move through your own ascension, and why it's important on this journey of the soul, this journey of growth, this journey of evolution. So, let's get into it. I want you to know that ascension is nothing outside of you. In fact, it's the complete opposite. I look at ascension more as descension because to go on an ascension journey is to dive into your own depths, to become awakened, to become ascended, to transform, to be in alignment to your soul. You can't do that unless you look at all parts of you because this journey is about coming into wholeness with yourself. The simplest way to put it, it's about coming into wholeness with yourself. You are not reaching for something outside of you. You are not reaching for the 5D and living there. You are, in fact, going within yourself to awaken these higher aspects of being so you can then see life through an ascended lens, see life through a lens that people are referring to the 5D. And when you live life in that lens, through that higher lens of consciousness, through that ascended lens, through that ascended way of being, you have this like eagle eye view on life. Because where you are right now, whether you've gone on an ascension journey before and you have awakened higher aspects of self, know that it is never over. There is never an end point because there are always deeper layers to peel back, and attached to that, right, on the other side of that, there are more layers to expand into. But there will come a point on your journey where there is that shift and you're no longer functioning from the same spaces that you are that are like rooted in this 3D world. So to be in that ascended state of being, you have this eagle eye view because when you're not awakened, when you're not an ascended being, you see life through the human mind, which is very linear. And it's through that linear mind that holds deep limitations. These are the foundations that you are most likely functioning from that are rooted in your own wounding, in your traumas, in your shadows. In the framework that I teach, the Worthiness Codes Ascension Blueprint, I refer to these shadow parts as the pedestals because until you become aware of these parts of yourself, this is on repeat. These are the cycles that you continue to go through, the patterns that you experience, because you don't know, you don't have the awareness, the consciousness to ascend outside of that, to alchemize those dense parts of yourself into higher aspects of being. And it's through that process of alchemizing, that's where the ascension takes place. Once you move from the pedestal, the shadows, into what I call the pathways, are these like transformational energies that are rooted in your soul. That's the start to ascension because now it's like, okay, I'm aware of how I'm living life very linearly, very rooted in my own shit, which we all have, and it's no one's fault. It's from our upbringing and our childhood and society, rooted in limiting beliefs and traumas and from childhood and all of the things. But once you become aware of it and you have the tools and the understanding of how you can shift out of that into the pathways, this is the process of ascension. So you're moving out of this linear way of thinking into an ascended state of being. And the more that you work with this energy, the more that you understand where these shadows, these pedestals come from, gaining awareness about them, where they are in your body. In the framework, the Worthiness Codes Ascension Blueprint, each passage is tied to a chakra. And so you are literally moving through an inner alchemical process to shift from this dense way of being into a higher expansive energy from your soul. And it's through the remembrance of how to reclaim, because it's nothing outside of you and it's not some big unattainable process. Ascension is not that. It's very simple. It's very grounded, and it all comes from within you. So the more that you allow yourself to shift internally, where you sit with your shit and you feel and you heal and you say, I see you, but no, thank you. I'm going to shift into a higher state of being to reclaim these specific parts of my soul. You then eventually move into the embodiment of the higher octaves of self. These are the worthiness codes. And it's within, on this journey of ascension, it's all about embodiment, because the only way that you will ascend is, it's not through the mind. So yes, the first step of it is like, okay, understanding that I'm living life very connected to the 3D, which is very connected to the pedestals and my shadows and my wounding. And I'm making decisions most likely subconsciously from there. But now I have the awareness to shift out of that linear way of being into a more ascended state, to then see the inner workings of things, to shift into these higher aspects of being, like trust and embracing and awareness and being here, right? This is a space of understanding that you have divine choice to really heal these parts of yourself and to no longer function from there, where you eventually begin to shift into higher octaves, like seeing life through your higher self, holding unwavering faith for the universe, being able to surrender to life and what comes your way, being sovereign and your worth. And it's through those worthiness codes, it's through embodying those highest aspects of self. That's the ascension, because that's the embodiment. When you begin to embody, that's where you truly begin to say, okay, I am no longer stuck within these lower ways of being. I am no longer stuck within this 3D experience. And yes, you are always rooted. The point is to embody, so to be deeply in the human body, in the human experience, but you're seeing it through a different lens. You're no longer stuck, only able to see linearly through the human ego-driven mind. You've ascended above that by going within and embodying higher aspects of being, ascended above that. And it's like you're seeing life through your higher self, through an eagle-eye view, while flowing with the divine, seeing the things that are here above it. And I don't mean above as in better, but like literally seeing it from just a higher lens. And so instead of linearly, you are working within like cycles, you are working within the patterning, you are working within the flow and the divine, and these no longer forcing, but allowing and seeing your own patterns and the cycles of life and working within the cosmos. And this can sound like so unattainable if you haven't gone on this journey. But this is what it means to be ascended. And it's a very like mystical process, because it's different. But what I want to make really clear is it's so obtainable because it lives within you. And the way that I'm explaining it is like, yes, it's like, okay, well, how does one even understand how to live life like that? It's through this journey. It's through the inner workings of yourself and coming into wholeness with yourself, where you're then moving through life in a completely different way, because you don't need anything outside of you. And you become more connected to yourself. You're becoming more connected to the earth, to the cosmos. You have deeper awareness to see your own blocks and your patterns and your cycles, while also understanding that like the divine is here, God, the universe, source is here to support you, and you're flowing with that instead of moving against it. So know that there are many different ways to experience ascension and awakening and higher consciousness, and to explain it. But it starts from within you and it lives within you. And it's all about coming into wholeness with self and embodying these higher aspects of self. And it's rooted and it's anchored in unconditional love, because you must love all parts of you. And it's knowing that you are worthy of all that you are, just as you are, and living from there. So if you have questions, please drop them in the comments, but know that the blueprint is available through the journal prompts and guided meditations to really help you navigate, because your inner waters are vast and they are deep, and you hold the power to move through yourself as deeply, as quickly, as expansively as you want. You're in control. But it can be lonely, it can be confusing. So this blueprint is here to guide you. And the one thing that I will say is that, like, through this ascension journey, through any awakening that you choose to go on, awakening can happen spontaneously. I've had many of those, but to go through an ascension journey, it's really just about sitting with yourself and understanding who you are and bringing that back into wholeness through unconditional love for all that you are. So yeah. Okay. I hope that's helpful.